ورتل القرآن ترتيلا.
Assalamu alaikum. In this lesson, we will be covering the fourth category, which is the back of the mouth. Our learning objectives are: number one, to be able to define itbaq and infitah. Number two, to know the letters of itbaq and pronounce them correctly. And finally, to know the letters of infitah and pronounce them correctly. As we have previously covered, we are studying Sifaat lazima with opposites, which is subdivided into 5 categories: air, sound, tongue, the back of the mouth, and pronunciation. So in this lesson, we will be looking at back of the mouth, where the back of the mouth opens, which is known as al-infitah, and the back of the mouth closes, which is known as al-itbaq. What is the definition of itbaq? Itbaq means compression, where there is contact between the back of the tongue and the upper palate of the mouth upon articulation of the letter. The sound is clear no matter what the haraka is, and you will find that the sound is compressed between the tongue and the upper palate in a limited space. So you will find that your mouth is quite closed when you pronounce these letters. The definition of infitah, which is the opening, is the separation of the tongue from the upper palate. Now the tongue doesn't cover the palate and the mouth will remain open. For some of the letters, the tongue may be raised, but the actual contact with the back of the mouth does not happen. And these are for the rest of the letters of the isti'la. So for the letters kha, qaf and ghain, you will find that the tongue may be raised. There are 4 letters of itbaq: the letters sad, dad, ta and dha. We will look at each letter in more detail. For the letter sad, sa, su, si, as. And you can hear and see that the mouth is quite compressed, and it does not open fully. The letter dad, da, du, di, ad. The letter ta, ta, tu, ti, at. The letter dha, dha, dhu, di, ad. For some of the letters, the tongue is raised, but the actual contact does not occur. Like I mentioned previously, the letter kha, the letter qaf, and the letter ghain. So for the letter kha, kha, khu, khi, akh. For the letter qaf, qa, qu, qi, aq. For the letter ghain, gha, ghu, ghi, agh. The rest of the letters fall into the category of infitah, and there are 25 letters. Example of infitah: for the letter dal, da, du, di, ad. For the letter tha, tha, thu, thi, ath. And for the letter dhal, dha, dhu, thi, ar. And you can, from these letters, you can see and hear that the back of the mouth is open. So just to recap on what we have learnt so far, we have learnt in regards to air flows and air does not flow. Air flows is known as hams, and there are 10 letters that fall into this category. فَحَثَّهُ شَخْصٌ سَكَتْ. Air does not flow, which is known as al-jahar, and that is the rest of the letters. In regards to sound, sound flows, which is known as a rikhawa. Sound partially flows, which is known as tawassut, and sound does not flow, which is known as a shidda. For tawassut, there are 5 letters, and we learn lin umar as the terminology. And for the sound which does not flow, we learn 2 terminologies: ajid qitta bakat or kutubu jaddin tikka, and there are 8 letters that fall into this category. For al-rikhawa, there are the rest of the letters that remain. For the tongue, we learned that the tongue is lowered and the tongue is elevated. When the tongue is elevated, it is known as al-isti'la, and there are 7 letters that fall in this category. Khus, ضغط, قذ. The tongue lowering is known as al-istifal, and that is the rest of the letters. In this lesson, we have covered the back of the mouth. When the back of the mouth is closed, it is known as al-itbaq, and there are 4 letters in this category. The letter sad, dad, ta, and dha, and you will notice that the mouth does not open fully. And for al-infitah is when the back of the mouth is open and the rest of the letters fall in this category. So what have we learned in this lesson? We are able to define itbaq and infitah. We know the letters of itbaq and we can pronounce them correctly. We know the letters of infitah and we can pronounce them correctly. Hope you benefited from this lesson. Keep seeking knowledge. مع السلامة.